You've got an event coming up here pretty quick, Adrenaline MMA. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, Adrenaline MMA is going to be kind of like the Strike Force of the Midwest. So we got it June 14th in Chicago, and I've got Jeff Munson and Mike Russo as their headliners, and about 10 other UFC level guys that are fighting in the card.
Obviously, you had the big event with Fedor. Didn't really work out with M1. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, basically, we just didn't come to terms. We tried for about 6 months, and they had their way of doing things, and we had ours. And in the end, we just thought it was better if we just separated. And ironically, as it turns out, he ends up with Affliction. I end up getting Sylvia out of the UFC, and now I have Tim Sylvia fighting Fedor.
You're also manager for a lot of the top fighters in the world. Like you mentioned, you have Tim Sylvia coming up fighting Fedor. I know you're his manager, but give us your prediction on that fight.
You know, it's a really good fight. Tim's training his butt off. It's a great opportunity for him. If the fight stays on his feet, I think Tim can beat him. You know, if it goes on the ground, we got our work cut out for us.
Any other? You've also got Ben Rothwell on the card, rumored to be facing Andrei Arlovsky, although nothing is signed at this point. Can you tell us about his participation in the event as well as a possible opponent?
Well, same thing. Ben's been looking ever since the IFL to step it up and fight somebody, of name. And if Andrei Arlovsky doesn't come free from the UFC, then it would probably be someone like Alexander Emelianenko or someone like that. So it's going to be a quality opponent. He's going to be the number 2 or number 3 fighter on the card. So it's going to be a big fight.
He's one of the probably one of the top heavyweights outside of the UFC that isn't in the UFC. What prevented him from being in the UFC?
Well, just timing. I mean, we signed up with the IFL right out of its infancy, and Ben still needed some work. He needed to develop, and he did that. He did it inside the IFL. He went 8-0 in the IFL, and when it came to the end of the contract, we thought it was time to look elsewhere.
We've got some big main events coming up. We've got Quinton Jackson versus Forrest Griffin. Can you give us a prediction on that?
Boy, what a great fight! It's gonna, I mean, you got to go with Quinton as a favorite, but Forrest always has a way of turning it into some kind of bloodbath. So I'm sure it'll be interesting.
And the last 2 questions. First of all, we got Sean Shirk, one of the guys that you used to work together with, taking on BJ Penn. What are your thoughts? Who's going to win that fight?
Well, I still manage Sean, so it's no different. Obviously, as a manager, I'm thinking Sean's going to win it. You have to be careful with BJ. Obviously, he hasn't lost a first round, I think, in his life, and he comes out strong, and he's going to want to finish it first round, second round. But once you get past the second round, I think Sean's conditioning hopefully will take him through.
And lastly, any thoughts for the fans out there, fans of Adrenaline and fans of the multitude of fighters that you have on your roster?
Well, it's a great time to be an MMA fan. You've got Affliction coming out, you got Adrenaline coming out, Strike Force is stepping up, Elite's now on CBS, and you got the UFC going. So, I mean, this is a great time to be an MMA fan.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.